What is going on? Xavier thought, stunned. He froze, peering into the dimly lit storage closet, embarrassed that he just happened upon two people in the middle of a passionate embrace. He didn't close the door as quickly as the others had before, though. Does he want to make sure it's not me in here before he leaves? Olivia wondered. He said he's been following me for weeks. Maybe he feels like if he doesn't kill me today, he'll never get his chance. Worried he might reach out and grab her, Olivia groaned and dug her nails into Chris Jones' back, really trying to sell the idea that they were two lovers caught mid-hookup even more. She pretended not to even notice Xavier, or at least not to be bothered by his presence. Ouch, Chris thought, wincing. His back stung, but he took a deep breath. You really have to go that deep? He thought. Olivia hoped this would be enough to make Xavier turn and close the door, but he still wasn't moving. Why not? Liv fretted. Could it be that he has some strange fetishes? Or is he really going to step in here and drag me off Chris to confirm whether I'm his actual target or not? Finally, she heard Xavier take a step towards her, as if trying to get a good look at her. Shit, she thought. She buried her face further in Chris's neck, obscuring her face from Xavier's view, while pretending to be caught up in the passionate moment, kissing Chris. Olivia Johnson is a high school student who was walking alone through a mall just minutes ago, Xavier thought, assuring himself. Not some woman with her legs draped around a man halfway undressed. Olivia was suddenly very grateful that she hadn't spent any time with Chris over the last few weeks. Otherwise, her mysterious stalker may have seen Chris before and would have recognized him. You mind, dude? Chris said finally, turning towards him slightly, prompting Xavier to panic. Oh, sorry. Xavier coughed out, face turning crimson, realizing he'd been caught watching these two strangers hooking up and not wanting to be seen as a voyeur. Olivia must have snuck out the bathroom, he thought, while I was looking in one of the other rows of stalls. He shook his head, frustrated, then doubled back down the hall towards the shoe store again. I've wasted too much time as it is, he admonished himself. Maybe she went back to the store after going to the bathroom. As soon as Xavier was far enough away that she couldn't hear his thoughts anymore, Olivia jumped off of Chris. She rubbed her aching back. Chris had grabbed her so roughly before she had to stretch a bit to loosen up. Now we're even, Chris smirked, watching her. Olivia glared fiercely at him for a second, wondering if part of Chris enjoyed the last few minutes, or if he was just smiling and teasing her as a way of breaking the tension a bit. Either way, his gaze made her feel self-conscious, and she turned away, remembering she was half naked. It was one thing to tear each other's clothes off in the name of survival. It was quite another to be standing here half-dressed now that the threat had been neutralized. This probably saved me, though, she realized, looking down. Xavier had only been able to see her sports bra and black pants when he entered the room. No wonder he thought she was a different person. Last he'd seen her, she was wearing an orange shirt and red cardigan, and her hair was pulled back in a low, tight bun. In the closet, he'd seen a woman in a bright blue sports bra and long brown hair flowing everywhere. No orange shirt or red cardigan in sight, because Chris had wisely shoved the shirt between their bodies as he held her close and had flung her sweater into the dark corner behind a utility shelf. Now Chris pulled off his own tattered shirt, which barely covered his body after Olivia had torn it. Then he picked up his coat from the ground, shook it, and put it on. Olivia immediately picked up her sweater and put it on too. Her shirt was completely ruined. I can't believe Chris used my tactic, she thought, and it worked twice. You know, if you wanted to kiss me that bad, you could have just asked if I was interested, Chris quipped. Funny, Olivia shot back. But last I checked, you did the same thing I did. Although, if I recall, you were more passionate. Was I? He said. I was just trying to help you. He eyed her. Remind me, where have we met before? She cocked an eyebrow. Wait, seriously? She was incredulous. I know we've met, he quickly replied. I recognize you, I just can't remember where from. Our parents have arranged for us to be engaged, she thought. How do you not remember that? Are you really not joking? She pressed. He sighed. I don't mean to offend you. I meet a lot of people, especially women, I'm the one you're supposed to be engaged to? She huffed. Oh, he said. Wow, I guess I didn't recognize you. Before you were so proper, and just now, it's dark in here too, sorry. Olivia scoffed, offended. He could tell he'd hurt her pride because Chris went on to explain, I really am sorry. I sort of blocked that whole event where we met out. It's nothing to do with you, he assured her. It's just that my stepmom was the one arranging that. And I assumed you were boring, Chris thought. My stepmom loves boring people. Olivia frowned at this, insulted, but didn't let on that she could hear what he thought about her. In the dim light, Chris sized up Olivia. She had dark eyebrows, big hazel eyes, and long lashes. Her nose was delicate and small, almost bird-like. Her lips were round, pink, and slightly pouted because she was unhappy, which made her look even more alluring. Her oval face shape, her long, tousled hair, the faint, sweet fragrance coming from her body. She was marvelous, and she smelled like Dior, which meant she had great taste. Well, that, and she had that insane idea for how to save us, he thought. So maybe she's not so boring after all. She might even be a little adventurous. Realizing he was lost in her gaze, Chris shook himself back to reality and said, Look, you said I owed you for saving me earlier, so I just did you one better. So now we're even. The score's been settled, all right? You can be offended if you want, but I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. And I think I proved I'm not a bad guy. He smirked. And, for future reference, I don't normally move so fast on the first date. Olivia rolled her eyes. That makes two of us. And do me a favor. I'll forgive you for forgetting me the first time, but after this, don't let me catch you not knowing who I am. Unless, of course, today was unmemorable because you're so hopeless that people are constantly having to step in and save you from packs of marauding guys in malls. Oh, don't worry, Olivia Johnson, Chris whispered. There is no forgetting you after today. There was a tense moment of silence between them, and Olivia felt a slight tingle before averting her gaze. The stalker, she thought. She had to get out of here. No time for whatever was happening between her and Chris right now. She brushed Chris aside and opened the storage room door. She cautiously looked out, making sure her stalker was gone. Good, she thought, scanning the hallway. The coast is clear. She stepped out, careful to look around as she walked. Chris followed. So, who was it you were hiding from? Chris asked her. I'm not sure, Olivia muttered, hypervigilant. You don't know who you were hiding from? She shrugged. I noticed a creep following me. I tried to lose him. He kept following me. I ducked into a closet. She looked at Chris now. Who were those guys? Chris went quiet. Cool. So you ask me, but you won't tell me when I ask you the same question. You didn't answer either, he pointed out. Yeah, because I have no clue who that guy was. I know he wanted to hurt me. How did you know that? She couldn't tell him she could read thoughts, so instead she said, I could just tell. Gotcha. Well, yeah, same here. I don't know who those guys were. I just knew they weren't up to any good. She could tell Chris was lying, but when she tried to read his thoughts, all he was thinking was, if I tell you, you'll be at risk too. They made their way to the mall's employee exit so they didn't draw any attention to themselves. They clutched their jackets closed around their body to hide the fact that they weren't wearing shirts underneath. Olivia wondered if maybe Chris had a gambling addiction or something. Maybe he owed someone money. It was possible he'd gotten caught up in something nefarious, and now people were after him. Or this had something to do with his stepmom, Ashley. I saw them talking at Rachel's banquet, and things seemed tense. She had done something to a woman named Vera. Had she now set her sights on Chris, too? As Olivia wondered this, she noticed Chris watching her. I thought she was plain before, Chris thought, but she's actually quite beautiful, and that feisty attitude of her gives her some additional charm. Olivia was flattered, but as soon as they were outside, she had to look around, fully alert, to make sure she couldn't see her stalker anywhere in sight. I think we're okay, she thought. Then she spotted Morris's car. Are you going to be all right? She asked Chris. Do you need a ride home? Chris shook his head. My car's right over there. He pointed to a brand new Tesla charging a short distance away. Are you going to be all right? Olivia nodded and signaled to Morris to come pick her up. My driver's right there. Well, Chris said, then I guess this is goodbye for now. I guess so, she said, unsure what to say next. Should we plan to see each other again? She wondered, though she didn't want to be the one to make the first move. He has my number. Ashley insisted he would contact me long before today, but he's made no effort, so if he wants to change that, he can. Stay out of trouble, Miss Johnson, Chris smirked. I should say the same to you, she replied. I'm not worried, he winked, because if I'm in any real danger, this crazy girl come out of nowhere and save me. He shot her a smile and then stepped off the curb, walking towards his car. Before Olivia could think of something clever to say in response, Morris pulled up in his car, so she hustled towards him. As soon as she opened the back passenger door, however, she quickly glanced around and thought she spotted her stalker exiting the mall at the far end of the parking lot near the Macy's. Olivia's heart sped up. Olivia stood frozen in place, holding her breath as she watched the man step out onto the parking lot. After a few moments, she exhaled. It's not him, she realized. Oh, thank God it's not him. The man she was looking at wasn't her stalker. He was just a similarly dressed, middle-aged man who was quickly joined by his wife and daughter, shopping bags in hand as they exited the mall. Everything all right, miss? Morris asked. Olivia pulled her messy hair back into a ponytail and said, Yeah, just, a creepy guy started following me earlier inside. I thought I saw him again. He nearly scared me to death. Are you okay? Morris asked worriedly. Did he hurt you? No, Olivia said, thinking back to Chris. No, I ran into a friend who made sure I was safe. He saved me, she muttered. Miss, are you all right now? Would you like me to do something about it? Morris's brow furrowed. Shall we call the police? Olivia wasn't sure what good that would do. In truth, the man who had followed her through the mall hadn't technically directly threatened her or hurt her. She had only known his intentions because of his thoughts. He could always claim he was just looking for his lost daughter, who also happened to be named Olivia, if questioned. Besides, Liv didn't want her family, or anyone else for that matter, to hear that she'd been locked in a closet shirtless with Chris Jones. Her reputation would suffer. And, she thought, I want to deal with this stalker of mine on my own. She smiled at the thought, thinking of how she would get him back the next time she encountered him, now that she knew he was following her. This time, I'll be prepared and ready for him. It's okay, Morris, she said. I'm sure it'll be okay. It's a scary world, Morris opined. There are many bad people. If you want to go to the mall in the future, I will accompany you if you'll let me. I can always help you carry some things. I won't be a bother, but your father has entrusted me with protecting you. Olivia smiled, touched. Thank you, Morris. I'll keep that in mind next time. Morris was a very steady and ethical person. In Olivia's previous life, he had been her driver for a long time. It wasn't until the Johnson family went bankrupt because of Olivia much later in life that Morris had to leave the Johnsons' mansion to find another employment. But this time, Olivia hoped things would be different. Hopefully, everything I'm doing now will help reverse the fortune of my family and of people like Morris, she thought. Please do, Morris replied as he drove, watching the road vigilantly. There are a lot of scary things to watch out for nowadays. You have to protect yourself. It was dark by the time Morris turned into the winding road that led to the Johnson mansion. Olivia stared out the window, watching the moon rise higher in the sky, lost in thought. Why had that man who was following her said he had already wasted countless hours on me? And he mentioned getting paid to chase me around. Who paid him and why? Olivia went through a list of possible suspects in her mind. She'd only recently been reborn, and there were only so many people she had offended in a direct confrontation. Monica? No, she doesn't have the money in her account to even pay for a hitman. Plus, she's too stupid to orchestrate this. Melanie and her sister Beatrix? No. While they were wealthy, they were too concerned with reputation, and they would never be caught dead associating with anyone who killed for a living, even if they did want Olivia dead. Besides, they were so sheltered. How would they ever find a hitman or someone nefarious enough to stalk and kill Olivia? So, who had the money and the means and the scrappiness and resourcefulness to do this? Rachel, Liv thought, eyes narrowing. Yes, it was definitely Rachel who wanted her dead, she decided. Olivia's jaw clenched. Maybe she's on to me, Olivia worried, thinking back to Sadie Diaz's fall from the roof. The event seemed to cause Rachel to have a mini mental breakdown, possibly because it put her social standing in a precarious place. Mothers of wealthy daughters now wondered if their children were safe at the Johnson mansion, and Rachel's birthday banquet was forever tarnished with the memory of what had happened there. With so much pressure on Rachel to repair her own reputation, perhaps Rachel felt Olivia was just too much to deal with on top of everything else. In my last life, Rachel bullied me so successfully she never really saw me as a threat, Olivia thought. Back then, she just took pleasure in seeing me falter and fail over and over again. The more miserable I was, the happier Rachel was. But now she's clearly wary of my presence here, because I'm succeeding this time around, and because people like me, and Dad and I get along, and I'm happy and thriving. I'm obviously an obstacle that's threatening to affect her standing in society, and maybe she notices that bad things happen to those who oppose me. Olivia exhaled. Well, too bad, she thought. I was given a second chance to live my life all over again, so I'm not going to let Rachel try to bulldoze me and take me down. I'm just getting started. My wings are just beginning to grow, and soon I'm going to soar. And when I'm done getting Rachel back, she's going to suffer a consequence worse than death. Justice would be served, Olivia decided, and then I'll kill her. Chris's mind was cloudy. His back ached from holding Olivia earlier, and his shoulder stung from where she had scratched him while pretending to be his lover. He looked at the tattered remains of his favorite shirt, knowing he'd never find another like it again. He'd had a tailor make it for him in Paris, and he cherished it. Better the shirt than me, at least, he thought, searching for the silver linings. His head was still spinning after his encounter at the mall. He didn't even know what kind of words could be used to describe what had happened to him today. The men chasing him were surreal enough, but then the run-in with Olivia was far too weird to fully comprehend. How did the two of them even end up in that dark closet, both on the run? It felt like fate, or some strange coincidence. But Chris wasn't the type to romanticize such things. Thinking of Olivia back in that room, Chris thought, she was confident in there, like she knew what was happening before it happened. But she was also almost feral. How could my family expect me to be engaged to such a wild, strange, aggressive girl? On the other hand, the prospect kind of thrilled him. I've never met another girl like her, that's for sure. His lip curled up at the corner. And why was she being followed? Who was that man? Olivia Johnson was certainly intriguing, and Chris felt himself wanting to know more. When he got back to his family's penthouse apartment, he drove his car into the underground garage, glad to be in a safe, protected parking space. He knew the men in the mall wouldn't follow him in here, not with his family's security watching the building. In the elevator, Chris only wore his jacket and slacks. His open collar and chest muscles, which were sculpted to perfection, caught the eye of the old lady who stepped into the elevator with him on floor 2. She lived on floor 16 and tried not to make eye contact, but she couldn't help it. His attractive abdominal muscles practically extended to his groin, causing women to fantasize all kinds of things about him. And he knew it. That's why he spent so much time with his personal trainer, wasn't it? When the elevator stopped on 16 and the woman exited, Chris watched her exhale like she'd been holding her breath nervously. He laughed. Arriving at the penthouse, Chris stepped out directly onto the Carrara marble floors of his family's entryway. As soon as he did, he found Vera standing before him. "Chris Jones, what is going on with you?" she asked. She cocked an eyebrow when she saw him. "Are you trying to seduce the women in New York? Or do you want to provoke all the men in New York to start fights with you because their women are staring?" She couldn't help but tease him. Chris did not answer Vera's question. Instead, he just walked to the window and stared out at the city's skyline below. Vera shrugged. "Oh, so you're brooding right now then. Got it." She was used to his personality. After she smirked at him, Chris ambled silently back to his room and closed the door. He took off his jacket, wanting to change into comfortable sweats. "I have something for you," Vera said, holding up a stack of papers in her hand. "Hello?" She walked to the door of his room and knocked on it a few times. She then pushed the door open and said, "Chris, this is..." Before she could finish speaking, she noticed the scratches on Chris's upper back and shoulders, where Olivia had left angry red marks. "What happened to you?" Chris picked up another shirt and put it on, saying nothing still. Vera opened her mouth a few times like she was going to say something, then closed it again. "Chris Jones," she said finally, "I usually don't ask too many questions about what you do, but this I have to address," she exclaimed. Vera tried her best to think of the right way to say what she thought. "You are just barely 18, but clearly you believe that you're already a full-grown man. So I have to have this talk with you. Chris, I want you to remember you have your family to think about. You can't just go around losing clothing or—" "God, I can't believe I actually have to say this aloud," she said, feeling silly, like she was about to tell a full-grown man about the birds and the bees. "But well, I hope you're at least being safe. Whatever you're doing, I hope that safety is your top priority. You are a very wealthy man, and you wouldn't want anyone trying to take advantage or to become pregnant for child support or—" "What?" Chris looked at Vera with a quizzical expression. "What are you talking about?" "I'm just saying—" Vera pursed her lips, trailing off. There seemed to be no delicate way to do this anymore, so she had to be direct. She asked, "Did you use a condom?" "Excuse me?" Chris was stunned. He froze, remembering the marks on his back, and his face instantly darkened. "Oh, God, you misunderstood, Vera." "I misunderstood?" Vera cocked an eyebrow. "Look, Chris, I'm not saying that you don't have the right to be curious and eventually want to explore things with girls. I'm just saying you have to be really careful. I've heard of situations where a young man isn't careful, or he gets too carried away, and he doesn't use protection, and then suddenly a very ambitious young woman falls pregnant, and a wealthy boy's family has to take care of her and the child for the rest of his life. And I know you like running around and having a good time. I'm just asking you to be more discreet than you were when you got home. And to be safe. You must put safety first, understand, or you'll regret it." Chris interrupted Vera and said, "I went to the shopping mall to buy something today, but I ran into Olivia Johnson." "As in your fiancé?" Vera asked, immediately intrigued. "Is that who did this to you?" she wondered. "Yes," Chris patiently answered. "She was being hunted. She said some guy was stalking her, but I think I saw a knife in his hand. I can't be too sure." "Is that how you got the scratches?" Vera said, stepping forward with concern. She thought about calling in Chris's father's security detail. "No," Chris was quick to reassure her. "No, don't worry, I got these when—" He stopped himself. "Well, it's a long story, but we put on an act and it saved her life." He didn't mention the 5 men who had been chasing him, or the fact that Olivia had saved his life by first coming up with the plan to pretend to be kissing in the first place. Chris did not want Vera to worry, but he shivered at the memory of the storeroom scene. "Oh," Vera said, nodding her head as if this explanation was enough to assuage her fears. "How is Miss Johnson? Sweet and pretty as all the society girls?" "Sweet," Chris curled up his lips and said. "She's like a wildcat. She's definitely not from here, and you can tell." "Chris," Vera admonished. She was used to Chris finding fault in everyone his parents tried to set him up with, so she wasn't surprised he was doing it to this poor Olivia girl now. "You shouldn't compare people to wild animals, or animals in general." "Oops," Chris deadpanned. "Bad Christopher. I keep forgetting all the rules of polite society. I should really bring my rule book out with me more often." Vera rolled her eyes. This boy, who was like a little brother to her, was hopeless. "Well, the reason I've been waiting for you is I think you might want to have a look at this." She placed a document down on the desk in front of Chris. "What is this?" he asked. As Chris began reading it, his expression became more serious and his brows twisted together. "It was sent by Dave Simon," Vera told him. "He's going to be bringing some people back with him to New York around the end of October. We should keep an eye on him. And I heard that Franco's side is showing signs of movement too, so I wanted to alert you." Chris stood frozen, looking forward but saying nothing. Then finally his lips parted and he muttered, "Thank you for letting me know." He thought for another moment, then added, October 26th is the anniversary of my sister's death. It's coming up quickly. When the time comes, will you come back to London with me?" Vera's eyes revealed a touch of sadness. "I'm not sure I can. Let's talk about it when the time comes." Chris turned around toward his computer. "Very well. You can go now. I'm going to start working." "Okay." Vera hid the sadness in her eyes and put on a smile. Hearing Chris mention his sister made her heart feel heavy, but she knew he didn't like to dwell. He preferred to avoid such thoughts, so when she went to close the door behind herself, she teased, "I shall leave you alone with your work and your thoughts of your little wildcat." After closing the door, Vera deliberately meowed 2 times outside the door. Chris pinched the bridge of his nose and sighed helplessly, thinking of Olivia again in spite of himself. He couldn't help but chuckle slightly at the notion that Vera referred to her as his little wildcat. Hardly, Chris thought, turning on his computer. As soon as it hummed to life, he turned his attention to his web browser. All business again. He logged into a foreign website, fingers flying across the keyboard, and after browsing for a while, he frowned. Although international relations around the globe seemed to be relatively stable at the moment, Chris wondered if there was a storm brewing in the dark corners of the globe. Chris's family was so connected to the pulse of Europe, and their businesses depended upon the peace and cooperation of many foreign alliances, so he often knew of the tiniest blips that rarely made international headlines. After all, there were shifts in power daily, so Chris felt it was his duty as heir to the Jones family fortune in business to keep abreast of such situations. But what's happening in Eastern Europe and the Eastern Bloc is a bit strange, he thought, reading on. 2 prominent families at odds, each of them acting like gangs, claiming the other's territory, and these skirmishes seem to be escalating. As he continued to scroll through the news stories, Chris came across a name. Duke Lee, he whispered aloud. After hesitating for a moment, he copied this name into a new chat window along with the message, "Check this person out for me." Very quickly, someone on the receiving end of his message replied, "Ah, Chris, good evening. Don't forget we have a time difference. I know you're eager to know everything going on everywhere at all times, but please remember my workday has been done for hours." Chris ignored the protest on the other side. He only replied with 2 words, "Do it." Chris was met only with an ellipses, signaling the person he was talking to was figuring out what to reply, then deleting their comment, then starting over, multiple times. Then finally, the reply came. "All right, give me 2 hours." "Wonderful," Chris typed. He turned away from the computer monitor and then re-examined the documents Vera left behind. After he flipped through the first few pages, he let out a long sigh, exhausted. He stretched, and the scratch that Olivia had left on his back earlier rubbed against his chair when he did. Chris winced, then murmured to himself with amusement, "She really is a little wildcat." Olivia sneezed as soon as she entered her house. "Uh-oh, do you have a cold?" Michael, who was reading the newspaper on the sofa, looked up and asked. "No, just have an itch on my nose," Olivia replied, quickly folding her arms in front of her to keep her cardigan closed so no one noticed she no longer wore a shirt underneath. She thought she could sneak upstairs unnoticed and change before saying hello to everyone. "I didn't realize Dad would be reading in the sunroom," she thought. "Good." Michael nodded, folding the newspaper. He stood up. "Richard, prepare the table for dinner. We're going to eat now." "Okay, sir." Richard, who was standing off to the side, responded and went to the kitchen to set everything up. "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize everyone was waiting on me to eat," Olivia said, cheeks burning red. She had been so caught up in hiding from the man who had followed her, and then in talking to Chris, that she barely realized what time it was now. "You went to do some petty shopping and made your whole family wait for you?" Monica muttered unhappily as she stood up from the sofa. Typical Olivia. "Monica?" Rachel stopped her daughter and turned to look at Olivia. "Olivia, I heard from Miss Brown's mother at one of my charity meetings that you were going to participate in a track and field meet soon. What race are you running?" Seeing that Olivia was safe and sound, Rachel was a little disappointed. "I thought Xavier was going to get rid of you," she thought. "When you didn't come home at your normal time, I was sure he'd found an opportunity to take you down." Olivia could see from reading Rachel's thoughts that Rachel had been sitting beside Michael, pretending to read the newspaper herself, while privately expecting a phone call from the police saying her stepdaughter Olivia had been involved in an accident and informing the family of her untimely passing. Rachel had spent the last half an hour in particular going over fake expressions of grief in her head. "What?" she imagined saying. "What do you mean she was hit by a car? What do you mean she slipped and fell? No, surely, officer, you have the wrong girl. Michael, how could it be?" She was sure the hitman she'd hired would get rid of Olivia somehow. What a useless man, she seethed now. "The 400 meters hurdle relay," Olivia replied. She saw the fake smile and clenched her jaw. If there was ever an award for the world's greatest liar, Rachel would surely be honored with it. And the 200-meter sprint. "It's so lovely that you're participating in group activities. I'm glad you're fitting in." Michael nodded approvingly as he led the family to the dining room and sat down at the dining table. "Thanks," Olivia also responded, a sense of pride warming her. She looked around and asked, "Dad, where's Grandpa?" "Your grandpa's going to Toronto to participate in the International Food and Beverage Forum." Michael picked up his spoon and replied, "He'll be back in a few weeks." "I see." Olivia had also heard about this meeting. This forum was organized by an international body which would hold a meeting every 2 years. At that time, the leading CEOs of all the food and beverage companies in the country, as well as the world's most esteemed chefs and restaurateurs, would participate. It was apparently a huge deal for the food and beverage industry. "Dad, will Grandpa get me some souvenirs from there?" Monica's eyes lit up. "They have really cool bags in Toronto." "He should be able to." Michael nodded his head. "Always wanting gifts," he thought to himself. Olivia smirked. Her dad seemed exasperated with Monica, and it amused her. "Dad?" Olivia deliberately ignored Monica and turned to Michael. "Tomorrow, my English teacher wants to come by for a home visit. He said she wants to meet every student's parents." "A home visit?" Michael nodded and said, "Okay, I'll see if I can move my last meeting around to come back early and meet your teacher. Does that work?" "Daddy!" Monica's face changed. "Since when I was a kid, when my teachers offered to come visit, or even when they have parent-teacher conferences, you have never personally met with them. It was always only Mom." "I'm sorry," Michael said, offering up nothing else. "What?" Monica felt her father's actions were unfair. She threw her spoon across the table and stood up immediately. "I am not hungry." After saying this, she turned and ran up to her room. "Monica! Monica!" Rachel shouted, but did not get an answer. Her expression was somewhat awkward. "I expect a lady of her age to begin acting with some maturity and dignity," Michael said, quietly but with an obvious frown. Seeing this, Rachel became nervous. "Honey, she's still young, and she's hormonal, and she's going through changes." Rachel eyed Olivia with a flash of disdain. "Things are chaotic for her right now. You have to let them settle a bit, and then she will mature. Just give her time, sweetheart. She just loves you and wants to feel seen by you. She respects you and wants your approval. Isn't that natural for a daughter? You should be considerate of her feelings." Rachel tried to persuade him, but at the same time she continued glaring at Olivia. She was sure Olivia had mentioned her teacher's home visit on purpose to anger Monica and turn Michael against her. Michael cracked his knuckles as he considered his wife's words. Olivia took a sip of the soup and said slowly, enjoying the drama, "From the way she threw the spoon, it didn't seem like she had much respect. Maybe her tantrums come before her respect, though, I suppose." Rachel's expression changed slightly, and she looked like she was about to let loose a slew of malicious words, when Olivia added, "Auntie, don't glare at me. I'm only 1 year older than Monica, and I'm still young. But look how much I try to be mature and rational, rather than, what was it you said, hormonal? Some things you can't blame on being a teenager. Eventually, we have to remember who we are as a family, and remember we have a reputation to uphold." Rachel was stunned into silence, especially when Michael silently nodded. "She's right." he said finally. He looked at Rachel. You have to discipline Monica more. Perhaps she needs stricter boundaries. Teach her how to be reasonable. She can't be a brat all her life, he said sternly. Rachel wanted to throw Olivia out of the house right then and there. Her fist was clenched under the table until her hands trembled, but her face remained placid, unmoving. You're right, Mike. I understand. Seeing Rachel suffering a setback, Olivia smiled. Is it just me, she thought, or does this food taste even more delicious than usual? After Rachel ate a few more mouthfuls of her dinner, she put her fork down. Well, she said abruptly, that was so yummy, but I am just so full after my lunch with the Robinson charity this afternoon. Would you excuse me if I run upstairs to get ready? I have a board meeting for the Starlights Charity Gala later this evening, and I must freshen up. Rachel had gone into overdrive trying to repair her reputation after Sadie Diaz's fall from the Johnson roof, and she was now inundated with commitments, hoping that people would soon forget her birthday banquet fiasco because they were too busy focusing on all the good she was doing. It also provided the perfect cover for her to be able to leave dinner early. Before heading up to her room to touch up her makeup, she veered down another hallway and hastened to Monica's room to conspire with her daughter. When she entered Monica's room, Rachel found her daughter lying atop the pillows on her giant pink bed, weeping loudly. Sweetheart, please don't cry, Rachel consoled Monica as she sat down beside her. Mommy, I hate Olivia. Why doesn't she just go and die? She's ruining my life, and why does Daddy only seem to care about her? Rachel pulled Monica into her embrace. Don't you worry. I'm taking care of her. But what I need from you is for you to control your emotions, okay? It's no use, Monica wailed. No matter what I do, Dad is so biased. He clearly treats Olivia differently from me. Since I was young, Dad never showed his face once for any school functions. So why would he personally meet with Olivia's teacher now? Like, what the hell? Honey, I didn't realize that sort of thing mattered to you before. So I always just agreed to go to all your conferences myself and let Daddy focus on work. Rachel lightly patted Monica's back. You didn't care about such things before either, Rachel thought, until suddenly you had a sister who did. Rachel hated even dealing with something so trivial. She wished her daughter could pick her battles more carefully. Throwing a tantrum over a teacher's visit was a surefire way to make Michael write Monica off as histrionic. Rachel sighed, trying to level with her daughter. Monica, if you have any grievances, making a big fuss, throwing a tantrum, and crying won't solve the problem. In fact, it'll only make it worse. You need to use your mind and think about how to achieve your ultimate goals. You understand? You want Olivia gone, don't you? Monica was silent for a moment, then nodded. Rachel reached out her hand to wipe Monica's tears. Then you should go back downstairs right now and tell your father how much you love him. And tell him that you don't hate Olivia either, but that you sometimes get jealous. What? Monica protested, but just say that so he sees you are mature enough to be vulnerable and admit your mistakes, Rachel instructed her. You must remember that every word you say must seem rational and well-intentioned, and you must show him that you only want the best for him and for our family, and you will do whatever he asks. So he will want to come to your aid and show you he cares about you as well, okay? This was exactly what Rachel had done to push Victoria away from Michael step by step. What man wouldn't cherish a vulnerable, dedicated, even-keeled woman in his life? Okay, Mommy, Monica nodded. I'll go and try that now. Rachel's lips curled up at the edges. Good. And if you have tears in your eyes when you speak with him, you'll seem even more genuine. Okay, Monica nodded eagerly. Monica wore a heartbroken expression and put great effort into making her eyes tear up. She pursed her lips slightly and twisted her hands together deferentially. Then she stepped back into the dining room, appearing vulnerable and contrite, just as her mother had instructed her to do. Rachel followed behind her. Daddy? Monica cooed, her voice softened to seem very timid. I know I lost my cool just now, and I'm so sorry. I just have a lot going on, and I sometimes feel so frustrated, I act out. But I'm trying to be better about it, so please forgive me. Olivia rolled her eyes. Give me a break. Monica was acting so humble that it was obvious she was trying to please their father. She no longer had her usual aggressive attitude or arrogance. It's almost impressive how obvious she's being, Olivia thought, watching with amusement to see how far Monica would take it. Liv then glanced at Rachel, who was watching Monica intently, her mouth moving as her daughter spoke, as if she'd trained her on what to say. Michael looked at his daughter, bowing deferentially before him, and let out a long sigh. She's trying, he told himself, and I respect that. God, men are so easily manipulated, Olivia thought as she read her dad's mind. He was completely fooled and ready to forgive Monica after her fake apology. Daddy, you've been busy with work all my life, Monica went on, unable to help herself. She could see Rachel glower at her like she was going off book, so she quickly added, I mean, I know you work very hard, so I'm not complaining, and that's why I haven't said anything all these years, because I really admire you, but sometimes I guess I just feel lonely. Monica blinked her eyes. When I was young, you would get home after my bedtime. I always tried to stay up until after you got home, but then I'd fall asleep and never saw you. I used to try my best to keep my eyes open. She trailed off. I guess I just wanted to wait for you to come home because I missed you. She laid it on thick with sad puppy dog eyes. I love you, Daddy. I just wanted you to know that's all it's ever been about. Wow, this is actually working, Olivia thought, watching her father's face. Monica, Michael said with a pained look. After all, she was his biological daughter. It was impossible not to love her. When Mike heard what Monica said, he thought, she's right. I probably have been too busy with work for most of my life, and I've neglected to care for my children. Both of them. He looked from Monica to Olivia. This is my fault. Monica's just acting out because of me. I'm so sorry, Michael whispered. It's okay, Daddy. It's just that if you were always like that, I guess I wouldn't think twice about you having to work and put that first, but Monica choked out. Ever since Olivia came here, you seem to care about her feelings and doing things with her, which... She looked at her mom, who'd instructed her to say this, which I understand since you want to make up for lost time and make her feel welcome. Look at me, Monica thought, being so understanding. I guess I just felt a little left out because it felt like you were paying extra attention to her, Monica said. And I thought maybe something was wrong with me that you didn't want to spend as much time with me. I don't hate my sister. Honestly, I really envy her because she got the love that I never received without even asking for it. Wow, Monica, no, nothing is wrong with you, Michael said. I'm sorry. I've not been doing my part as a father, and I need to be better. He looked at his daughter with pride. She's so articulate and mature. Maybe I underestimated her. And I was wrong about you, sweetheart, he said with love in his heart. You have grown up so much. No, this is not your fault. You couldn't help it. Monica saw Michael's expression and felt happy. It seemed that her mother's training was rather useful after all. You know what? Michael continued. I don't want either of you to feel like you get preferential treatment. You're both my daughters and I love you equally. Olivia tingled with frustration. How is this actually working on him? She worried. Michael turned to Olivia. Liv, if it's all right with you, since I haven't had time to meet with Monica's teachers in the past, I'm going to let Rachel meet with yours, so Monica doesn't feel left out. Is that okay? No, Olivia thought. No, you can't let her get away with this. She knew this was trivial, and it didn't matter in the long run whether her father met with her teacher. But Olivia wasn't prepared to let Monica win anything. She knew from her past life that any inroads Monica and Rachel made would only embolden them to encroach on her life more and try to hurt her. But Michael just watched Olivia innocently, unaware, I can't blow my cover or lose my cool right now, she reminded herself. Or I'll be just as bad as Monica has been. I have to keep my composure. Then I can figure out what to do. Olivia smiled. Of course that's okay, Olivia said, her voice sweet. She shot her father an innocent look, hoping to elicit a sympathetic response. It worked. He looked conflicted as he thought, I really do wish I could personally meet with her teacher and talk to him about her transition to Marshall High's going, but I can't ignore Monica's feelings. Both of them are my daughters, my own flesh and blood. I only asked you because I've only one parent in this house, Olivia said simply, like this was just a throwaway comment. Monica has two parents here, so I just figured it made sense that you wouldn't personally meet her teachers when you have work. She shrugged. But I'll just ask my teacher to go to my mother's place tomorrow instead. She'll do her duty as a parent, so you don't have to worry about it. Michael's expression changed the second he heard that. She has a good point, he thought. No, there is no need to trouble Victoria with this, Michael quickly said. I'll entertain your teacher. Michael, don't be silly. I will see him so you can work, Rachel interjected. Olivia, you're like family to me. I'd be happy to. Liar, Olivia thought. Oh, Auntie Rachel, I'd love that, but it's really all right. I still have my mom, so I'll just ask her to help me with this. I really wouldn't want to impose on you like that. Olivia, don't think like that, Michael said. Don't think you're imposing. Dad, she leveled with him quietly. It's hard not to, if I'm being honest. She glanced at Monica, then back at him with a frown. If we're allowed to say how we really feel right now, to just be honest and clear the air, I guess I felt like when Monica lost her temper at the dining table and threw her spoon my way before leaving, I just felt like she doesn't respect me, which makes me feel like I don't belong. I felt like I was imposing and I only make her upset because I'm an outsider at the dining table. Maybe I just make things worse, you know? So I won't trouble anyone else. I'll handle my stuff by just asking my mom. Olivia let out a melancholy sigh. First, Monica tries to get me in trouble with Melanie, and now she objects to simple things like you meeting my teacher, when it's so clear that she has both you and Auntie Rachel to support her here. I guess I'm just saying it makes me feel like everyone would be happier if I just wasn't here. Because if they really felt like I was family, would they react like that to me? Olivia looked down, dejected, but she could hear her father think, You're absolutely right. We've all done a terrible job making you feel like you belong here. I see where Monica's coming from, but it's you who have to endure the most here. He knew Olivia was right about another thing, too. Monica had gone too far earlier, throwing the spoon. She may have felt like her dad wasn't giving her attention, but that was no reason to make Olivia feel uncomfortable. At the same time, Rachel thought, You conniving little witch. Turning this all back against us somehow? You're not going to get away with it, Olivia. Olivia resisted the urge to smile. Michael thought for a while and then said, Didn't Monica come out to apologize just now, though? She apologized to you. In her heart, I worry only you guys are her family. She didn't say sorry to me for the spoon. Olivia looked at Monica. I know you said you don't hate me, and I know it must be hard now that I'm here, but I would really love to get to know you, if only you'd give me the chance. Olivia watched Monica hold back an eye roll. They both knew Olivia was laying it on thick now, but it was working. Their dad was buying it. Monica glanced at Rachel, who mouthed the word, apologize. I'm sorry. Monica forced out a smile. I would also, love to try harder with you. She looked like even saying the words made her want to vomit. I think we'd make great friends, Olivia replied. She turned to Michael. And Dad, don't worry. I don't want Monica to feel left out either. So tomorrow when I go to school, I will tell my teacher to visit my mom. In fact, it's much easier that way, and I should have done that from the start. It's better than attracting hatred for no reason and causing people to get overly emotional. After saying this, Olivia turned around and walked towards her room. When she passed by Rachel's side, Olivia curled her lips into a cold smile. Michael immediately followed her upstairs. Olivia, wait, please. Daddy? Monica said, but Michael didn't turn around. Monica stomped her feet in frustration. A trace of hatred flashed across Rachel's eyes. Olivia needs to die as soon as possible. Michael followed his daughter upstairs and stopped in front of the closed door to her room. He paused, hesitant about whether he should knock or not. On the other side of the door, Olivia could read his mind as he thought, should I leave her alone or ask to come in? Olivia opened the door and said nothing. Instead, she simply turned and went to sit on her bed. Michael followed her inside. Olivia, I know you feel wronged. I don't feel wronged, she interrupted, lowering her head and speaking softly. Dad, I knew how it would be the moment you brought me here. I've thought about all of this my whole life. I always feared I'd never be accepted here, so there's nothing to feel wronged about. I suppose because none of it has been a surprise. It's what I expected. Olivia, Michael began, wanting to persuade his daughter that she was wrong, though he didn't know what to say. He wasn't really good at this sort of stuff. He opened his mouth, hesitating, then finally said, Ask your teacher to come tomorrow. I'll come back early from work to talk with him. No need. I don't want to burden you. Olivia stared at her toes and shook her head. And I don't want to give Monica or Rachel more reason not to like me. She looked at her father. Dad, you know Monica hates me. We all know it. You misunderstand, he replied. Monica just has a bad temper. But she is going to have to accept sooner or later that I'm just doing my duty as a father. So tell your teacher to come tomorrow, and I'll be here. Really? Only then did Olivia raise her head. Her hazel eyes were full of expectation, but there was a trace of stubbornness as well as caution in them, like she didn't fully trust his words. Her gaze made Michael feel more guilty about all of this. Poor Olivia, he thought, looking into her eyes. She's had to live so carefully in her own father's house. She's had to walk on eggshells and worry about upsetting people instead of just being able to be herself. She clearly wants me to meet her teacher, but she doesn't feel like she can come right out and ask for things because she doesn't want to step on people's toes. And who can blame her? Every time she does speak up, Monica gets upset. As he watched his daughter, he couldn't help but notice her resemblance to her mother, Victoria. The first time he met Victoria was when they were set up on a blind date. Victoria didn't like being set up with Michael by her parents, so she accidentally spilled coffee on his brand new Salvatore Fergo button-down to try and end the date early. She stubbornly and cautiously looked at him the whole time, putting a wall up as he asked questions. It was that gaze that made him fall in love with her. If only that one particular bad incident hadn't happened 17 years ago, Michael thought, we would probably still be living a very happy life together now. Olivia wanted to say, What incident? What particularly bad thing happened 17 years ago that drove you apart? Besides Rachel, of course. What else had occurred between her parents? Olivia had to know. But she knew she couldn't show her dad she was reading his thoughts. So she reluctantly kept quiet, hoping he might think about it and reveal what happened to her that way. Instead, Michael sighed deeply and thought, but it wasn't meant to be. The helplessness that spread from the bottom of his heart made Michael feel a sense of loss and sorrow. He had wronged one precious woman in his life, and he wasn't going to repeat history by doing it to another, especially not to her daughter. Dad, what's wrong? Olivia pretended not to know why Michael looked so sad. Nothing. He shook his head and looked at her. Olivia, this is your home. You can rest assured you are safe and you belong here. And you can tell me anything, okay? Your stepmom and Monica are very kind people. You'll see after getting along with them for a long time. I don't know about that, Olivia thought. I know Monica can be a little explosive, Michael continued, and a bit spoiled. But she is young and still finding herself. Try not to take it personally. All right, Olivia nodded softly, playing the part of the good, obedient, rational daughter. I understand. Thank you for taking the time to come up here. Of course. Hey, he looked her in the eyes. You're my daughter. Please don't ever forget that. Michael hugged his daughter and assured her once again he was excited to meet her teacher tomorrow. And in their embrace, Olivia smiled to herself. As soon as her father left her room and she closed her door, she began to laugh. Rachel and Monica must be pissed, she thought. But if they're going to try to come for me, they have to be prepared to fail like this every time. The next morning, when they were eating breakfast, Monica ambled downstairs much later than usual. Her eyes were still a little red and swollen, like she had cried herself to sleep after not getting her way with her dad the previous evening. Olivia smiled at her sister, pretending not to notice. Morning, sissy, she chirped. Lovely day, isn't it? Monica just mumbled a hello and dug into the platter of eggs and bacon that Richard Coors had set out on the dining room table. Olivia, what time are you coming back from school today? Rachel looked up at her and put down her spoon to pretend to be concerned as she asked. Why? Are you trying to have your hitman follow me? Olivia thought. Until the other day, Olivia assumed Rachel asked questions about her schedule in order to assign drivers to pick her up and take her places, since Rachel was in charge of the servants' schedules. But now Olivia suspected she'd actually been asking Olivia about her whereabouts to keep tabs on when she might be able to strike. Same time as usual, Olivia replied, giving as little information as possible. Do you think you want to eat anything special for dinner tonight? Rachel asked. If it takes a little longer to prepare, I was thinking I'd let you know ahead of time so you can run any errands after practice or something, if you need. Now you're just trying to keep me out of the house, Olivia thought, so your hitman has more opportunities to get me. Just dinner, Olivia shrugged in response. Nothing special. She supported her chin with one hand and looked at Rachel with interest. You are so concerned about me today, it's rare. What nonsense are you talking about? Rachel forced out an awkward smile. Isn't it my duty to care about you? Last night, Michael had scolded Rachel once they were in their bedroom alone together, telling her she had to see it that Monica no longer made Olivia feel bad about being here. No exceptions, he'd said. It had been a long time since Rachel saw Michael get that angry. This is all Olivia's fault, Rachel seethed privately. Although she was livid, she still had to act nice in front of Michael and smile to please him. Breakfast carried on awkwardly as everyone pretended to get along, doing their best to play their parts in front of Michael, until it was time for the girls to head to school. When Olivia got up and lifted her school bag, she found that one of the shoulder straps was damaged. Her face fell, and she coldly glanced at Rachel's dog Candy, who squatted under the chair, growling at her territorially. Auntie Rachel, I think your dog bit my school bag, she said innocently. Oh my God! Rachel pretended to just notice, though she directed her dog to chew on the bag while Olivia ate. I think you're right. What should we do? Olivia's eyes narrowed. She could see Monica was smiling slightly over Michael's shoulder. It's okay. You can just pay me back, Olivia said nonchalantly. I bought this bag right before school. It was brand new. It can still be used, though. Monica rolled her eyes. You don't have to be so prissy about a bite mark from a dog, Liv. God. Then switch with her, Michael said suddenly. Monica froze. What? If you don't mind the bite marks on the straps, switch bags with her. Monica mumbled for a few seconds, unsure what to say next. Olivia smiled slightly. I said switch bags, now. But Daddy, my book bag is a Birkin purse that Mommy got me on our trip to London last year. Don't make me say it again. Rachel wanted to step in, but remembered how angry Michael was last night, so she refrained. I need to call Xavier, she thought. I need to find a reason to get Olivia alone and then have Xavier kill her. At this, Olivia felt the tingling sensation boiling up from deep within her. Not if I get you first, Olivia thought. She imagined ripping the chandelier above the table from the ceiling and letting it swing down onto Rachel with such force it killed her. It took everything in Olivia's power not to go through with her plan. It would be too obvious, she thought. Not here. You'll get your chance, but not here. She tried to calm herself, so she focused on unpacking the items in her school bag so she could put them in Monica's Birkin. She relished watching Monica have to do the same thing. Monica bowed her head obediently and switched bags with Olivia in front of her father, reluctantly pulling her pencil pouch and books in her half-sister's bag. "Be careful with that bag," Monica muttered, barely audible. "It's more valuable than you." "Oh, don't worry," Olivia grinned. "I always take care of things I love. It's the misbehaved dogs you have to worry about." The way Olivia looked at Monica when she said this made Monica think, did she just insinuate that I'm a misbehaved dog? Before Monica could think of a comeback, Olivia smiled politely at her father and then said, "I'll be in the car. See you guys after school." At school, Olivia sat beside her quiet deskmate Jeremy, pretending to read during English class. She eyed her new Birkin and thought about Candy chewing up her own bag. "I need to get Rachel back sooner than later," Liv thought. "I need to show her she can't keep coming for me and coming for me and coming for me without any consequences." "Hello," someone said, pulling her from her daze. Olivia looked up and saw it was Wendy. "What were you thinking about?" Wendy tilted her head and stood beside her. "Nothing." Olivia came back to her senses and looked at Wendy. "I went to sleep a little too late, and I'm so tired I guess I just zoned out." Wendy nodded and her eyes lit up as she said, "Well, guess what I saw this morning?" Olivia was still fixated on ways to get Rachel back, while still convincing her father she was committed to being a good, obedient, family-orientated daughter. "You saw a UFO?" Olivia guessed finally. "I'm being serious," Wendy replied. "Then you saw $100 on the ground?" Olivia asked. "No, much more interesting than that. I was on my way into school, and I saw this little husky pup in an alley. There was this guy feeding it scraps from a bakery, and you could tell it was a stray, but it was so cute. But anyway, after the guy left and went back into the bakery, 3 bigger strays came out of nowhere. It's like they know the bakery leaves scraps there every morning or something. I don't know, but literally, these dogs were huge, like twice the size of the baby husky. They looked like pit bulls." Olivia leaned forward, intrigued by Wendy's story. "And what happened?" Wendy sighed. "I didn't expect her to be so powerful. Literally right in front of me. This little husky stood its ground and fought off the 3 other dogs in order to keep the scraps for itself. It was amazing." Olivia's eyes narrowed as an idea formed in her mind. "Where is the dog now?" "Well, she's still in the alley where I saw her. I think she lives there. And I tried to grab her, but I couldn't. She ran and hid in a little alcove." "We should go back after school," Olivia said. If Rachel has a loyal companion to do her bidding, Olivia thought, I should have one too. It's almost like fate. Wendy telling me about this sweet homeless puppy today of all days, and my dad made such a big deal of making me feel welcome yesterday. If I were to bring a dog home, he'd have to let me keep her, or at least for a little. Olivia smiled to herself, thinking of all the possibilities. This is exactly what I need. A loyal guard dog to help keep Rachel and Monica in their place. Olivia's eyes glistened. Rachel wouldn't be able to scheme so much if she was preoccupied, making sure her precious little Candy was safe from the large, imposing jaws of Liv's puppy. It's all coming together, she thought, reinvigorated. After practice, Olivia offered to drop off Millie and Wendy at their places before heading out of the city to her mansion. One catch, though, she said. I want to go to that alley to find that poor little husky puppy. I love that you're going to rescue her, Wendy nodded. Wendy had a soft spot for animals and watched rescue videos online all the time. Her favorite was when 2 animals of different species became best friends in animal sanctuaries. When the girls got to the alley where Wendy had seen the puppy earlier, however, she was nowhere to be found. Shoot, Wendy said, looking around. I swear she was here. After searching high and low, Olivia shrugged. Maybe someone else already swooped in to help her. Let's go, I guess. She was just about to turn around when she heard a few loud barks coming from behind a row of dumpsters about 40 feet away. She followed the sound, and when she turned the corner, she was stunned by the scene in front of her. Olivia stared into a dead-end alleyway that was an offshoot of the larger alley they had been searching minutes earlier. It was only about 15 feet long by 10 feet wide, and weeds and gravel covered the ground. In the very corner, the husky puppy was barking. Surrounding her were 3 huge stray Dobermans growling at the puppy, who guarded the scraps of a chicken sandwich below her chest. The girls didn't know if the dogs lived on the street or had just gotten out from some apartment nearby. Often, there were businesses that kept these dogs as guards at night, and it's possible they let them roam the streets for scraps during the day. So she's the one who's the best at finding food in the dumpsters, Olivia thought, and then the others try to descend on her to steal them from her. The husky puppy bared her teeth at the bigger dogs, trying to fend them off. So far, it seemed to be working. But just as Olivia was about to clap to get them all to run away, Wendy held her back and said, "No, don't get in the middle. These are feral dogs and could hurt you." At that exact moment, Olivia watched as 2 of the giant Dobermans charged the husky. Olivia, scared for the sweet little puppy, summoned her powers, prepared to push both dogs to the side. But just as she did, she was surprised to see the puppy lunge at the larger dog and bite its leg so it squealed in pain. Then the husky quickly scratched the other dog in the face, swatting it away, before biting its tail as it ran. The third Doberman stalked towards the puppy, and the puppy showed her teeth and let out a low snarl. She looked like a baby wolf to begin with, but now she looked even more ferocious. Her eyes were murderous, as if warning, "Get away from me." The other dogs gradually regained their strength and circled, ready for revenge. After one of the Dobermans seemed to issue a sharp command, the 3 big dogs surrounded the husky again and pounced on her at the same time. The husky nimbly dodged, jumped, soared into the sky, and bit and retaliated. But while it was fierce, the husky was still outnumbered. And as she fought 2 of the Dobermans, the third clamped its jaw down on the husky's neck. "Oh my God," Olivia thought, "no!" The husky cried and then roared. She twisted her body and used her clearly injured paw to fiercely slap the wild dog on its face. Her sharp claw left a bloody wound on the wild dog's forehead until it trickled down to the bridge between its eyes. The scratched Doberman howled in pain. It loosened its grip on the husky and then rolled on the ground for a few times before getting up. Then it let out a few cries before fleeing out of the alley. Wendy and Millie took a few steps back when the Doberman passed by them. To Olivia's shock, as the husky panted, catching its breath, one of the other 2 Dobermans pounced on its chicken sandwich and ran from the alley. The third Doberman, injured and licking its wounds, must have determined that staying to fight wasn't worth it, because it quickly retreated down the alley with the first Doberman. Olivia's eyes flickered to life. This husky pup was ready to fight at any time. Like me, Olivia thought. Had she just found the perfect like-minded companion? The creature that could be her ally in the Johnson mansion? I think so. This puppy didn't back down, even when outnumbered. As Olivia and Wendy drew closer, Millie stood back, scared. "Oh my God, she's bleeding," Wendy said. Sure enough, as they got closer, they saw that the puppy's gray and white fur was stained with blood. One of her paws was obviously injured. Olivia wondered how long the husky had been fighting off her aggressors. "I'm so proud of you for not giving up," she thought, looking at the puppy. Olivia stood where she was, and her eyes were full of interest as she stared at the injured husky. "Olivia, I am a little afraid. Let's go." Wendy's voice trembled. Although she had seen the husky fight with the other dogs earlier, it hadn't been bloody. Now that she saw blood on the ground, she felt faint. "You guys wait for me by the car." Olivia cautiously started inching towards the dog. "Liv, what are you doing? Don't be so reckless," Millie warned her. "That dog is obviously very violent and now she's injured. Be careful that she doesn't attack you." "It's fine. I can use my powers to restrain her if I need to," she thought. Olivia stared at the husky's eyes. They were a gorgeous crystal blue. "Olivia, stop messing around. Come back." Millie really wanted to yank Liv back, but she was worried that moving quickly would scare the already injured dog and prompt an attack. She stood paralyzed with fear, unsure what to do. Her palms were sweating. Up ahead, Olivia inched forward very slowly. Because of her approach, the husky once again issued a warning whimper and cautiously took a step back. Olivia was getting closer and closer to the husky. When there was still a few feet of distance between them, she reached into her pocket and fished out a small bag of crackers that she'd bought from the vending machines at school after hatching this plan. She squatted down and laid one cracker on the ground before the puppy. The husky looked at Olivia's hands, and then her eyes uncertain. "It's okay, little one," Olivia said, her voice soft. "I'll take care of you," she thought. "You're like I was, bullied and downtrodden and overlooked, but I'll make sure you're nursed back to health and strong enough to not only survive, but to tear apart anyone who tries to hurt you." After a moment, the husky began dragging its injured body slowly towards Olivia. "Good girl. That's it." Olivia spoke very slowly, and her eyes were focused on the husky's eyes. The husky tilted her head and looked at Olivia, the waning sun hitting her flecked blue irises. "Liv!" Millie and Wendy were both nervous and afraid. "Injured animals are very alert and tend to strike again. They don't trust easily," Millie warned. Millie closed her eyes. "Oh God, Olivia's gonna get bitten by a feral dog. She could be mauled to death." Olivia didn't listen. Instead, she pulled more crackers from her bag and began laying them before the dog. The dog crouched and ate them hungrily as Olivia examined its injuries. "Okay, little one," she whispered. "I'm going to do this, and you might be scared, but I promise, I'm going to help you. So just be still." Suddenly, the dog whimpered, and it looked up at her, its eyes wide and full of fear. Olivia's friends worried maybe it was paralyzed, but Olivia knew what was happening. She held the puppy in place with her mind, just long enough for her to take her jacket off and place it around the husky. Then she scooped it up and held it in her arms. She concentrated on keeping it still while it nervously tried to squirm. "It's all right," Olivia cooed. "You're all right. You're going to be okay." She petted the dog until it stopped whimpering and whispered to it until she met back up with her friends. "What are you doing?" Millie said. "That thing could go berserk. It's bleeding." "It's okay," Olivia thought. But as she spoke to her friend, she broke her concentration so her powers were no longer keeping the dog still, and suddenly the husky flailed its arms and legs in a panic. Olivia nearly dropped her, but then the puppy turned its head around quickly and put its nose in Olivia's palm. It began licking at the crumbs that had once been there. Olivia laughed because it tickled. "Oh, she just wants more food," she said. "What a sweetie." As if seeing that Olivia had no intention of hurting her, the husky gently placed her injured left paw on Olivia's palm. "Good girl." Olivia rubbed her head. Olivia looked at her friends. "I'll take her to the vet after we drop you guys off. I think she's going to be okay." An hour later, the vet's assistant who brought the husky into the back for a checkup asked what Olivia's dog's name was. "Oh, I guess..." She thought about her favorite doll when she was little. "Sissy," she said excitedly. Then she sat down and waited for the vet to help mend her new dog's wounds. She looked down and noticed her shirt was stained with blood. "This life is so different from the last," Olivia thought. "But it feels good to have someone I can take care of now." "She should be here by now," Michael said. "She assured me she was only minutes away." He was sitting opposite Adam, Olivia's teacher, on the large, lavish couch in his spacious living room. Between them was a brand new tea set on the coffee table and an exquisite box of imported tea. "That's quite all right," Adam said between sips of tea. "I know sometimes the girls get food after track practice." Adam leaned forward. "Actually, I suppose we could get started before she arrives." "Sir, I chose to start with Olivia for my student home visits because I know she's both new to the school and the class president." "Olivia is class president?" Michael said, eyes widening. You didn't know?" At that moment, the front door opened and Olivia entered. When they laid eyes on her, both Michael and Adam looked stunned, their mouths falling open. Her shirt was covered in blood, and in her arms she carried a sedated gray and white Siberian husky. "Olivia!" Michael exclaimed. "Are you okay?" Rachel, who had been eavesdropping nearby, rushed into the hallway to see what the fuss was about. She spotted Olivia, and for a second, when she noticed the blood, she thought, "Did Xavier botch another attempt at her?" No, She stopped herself. No, I told him she was coming home after practice to meet with her father and her teacher. I didn't have Xavier follow her today. But then what happened? Rachel looked at Olivia's arms, squinting to get a better look. Is that a dog? She tensed up, looking around for her own precious little dog. Candy. The tiny little thing scurried around near her ankles as she quickly picked it up. What does she think she's doing? Rachel thought, grimacing with rage. What is that little bitch planning now? Are you all right? Michael asked his daughter again, concerned. What happened? You're bleeding, Adam said, following Michael over to where Olivia stood in the entryway. It's not my blood, Olivia assured them calmly. It's hers. She gestured to the puppy asleep in her arms. She's resting and she's going to be okay, but she was injured by a pack of strays. Olivia? Michael said, confused. Where did you find this dog? My friend Wendy saw her on the way to school, so we decided to go see if we could lure her out of her hiding spot after practice and take her to an animal shelter. But when we got there, a pack of bigger dogs were attacking her, so I took her to the vet. Olivia looked pleadingly at her dad, tears in her eyes. Dad, I couldn't let her just sit there injured with all those predators lurking. My daughter is so thoughtful, she heard Michael think. The vet says she's only 4 months old, and she's really sweet. She's just scared. The vet says she's not microchipped either, so I was wondering, could I maybe foster her? Olivia knew if she asked to adopt Polly outright, her dad would probably say no. But if she asked to foster her first, she could get Michael used to the idea of having Polly around, and then eventually, maybe he'd just let her keep Polly forever. Dad, think about it. I could have a companion here, so I'm never lonely. And so I have someone to talk to if Rachel and Monica don't want to spend time with me. And I promise I'll train her. Michael considered his daughter's words. I do want her to feel loved here, he thought. And Rachel and Monica have a dog, so maybe she should be able to have one too. Something all her own. That will make her feel more at home here, and she has been making me so proud lately. Maybe she deserves a reward. I didn't realize you were your class president, Michael said, instead of responding to Olivia's request. Why didn't you mention it? Olivia looked down. I guess I didn't think anyone cared. I mean, I know sometimes Monica gets upset when I talk about things I'm doing or my accomplishments because she feels I'm eclipsing her own accomplishments, and I don't want to make anyone feel weird. Both Michael and Adam's heart broke hearing Olivia say this. Good, Olivia thought, reading both of their minds. The plan is working then. Of course I care, Michael said gently. I'm so proud of you. You should always feel welcome to share your achievements with me. Being class president in a school like Marshall High, with such a high reputation, you're going to have such a bright future. And you did it as a new student, no less. Thinking of his daughter's promising future thrilled Michael. Unable to take any more of this, however, Rachel marched down from where she had been eavesdropping and entered the entryway. Oh, I didn't realize you were all out here. Olivia, what happened to you? She pretended to just now notice the blood on Olivia. Are you all right, dear? You know very well how I am, Olivia thought. Olivia helped save a puppy, Michael said proudly. Her puppy, in fact, he added. Olivia's eye shot to her dad. Does this mean I can keep Polly then? She squealed. Michael grinned and nodded. Think of it as a reward for how well you're doing. He looked her square in the eyes. But know that I fully expect you to train and take care of her. You can't just hand her off to the servants and forget about her. I would never, Olivia thought. I'm not Rachel. Oh my God, Dad, thank you. Rachel seethed but couldn't show it. She had to maintain an air of graciousness in front of her husband, so we'd never suspect a thing once Olivia met her demise in the coming days. She pasted a smile onto her face and looked at Adam. Hello, I'm Rachel Johnson. I don't think we've formally met. Olivia quickly said, She's my father's second wife. Hearing Olivia's explanation, Rachel coughed a few times. The corner of Adam's mouth twitched. That's pretty direct, he thought. Amusingly so. Well, it's true, Olivia thought in response. She's not a stepmom to me because she doesn't mother or respect me. She's just a woman married to my dad. Rachel laughed, pretending Olivia had just told a funny joke. Well, technically, Olivia's mother never married her father. They were only engaged. When she turned, she shot Olivia a searing look. Michael cleared his throat and turned his attention back to Adam. You haven't eaten yet, right, Mr. Reed? We would be honored if you joined us for a meal. Oh, no, I couldn't trouble you, Adam said. I just wanted to come say hello, introduce myself, and let you know that if there's anything you need going forward, I have an open door policy with my students. I know how hands-on Marshall High is, so I just wanted you to know that I believe in having a personal connection with all my students' families as well. You can call me Adam. The students do. Adam handed over his business card to Michael as he spoke, and Michael frowned slightly. Why is this teacher being so informal with his students? Meeting them at home? Having them call him by his first name? Michael was an old-school man who found this casual approach somewhat hard to digest. Back in his day, things were strict and regimented. Rachel read her husband's expression and her eyes lit up. She pounced on the opportunity. Looks like Olivia and Mr. Reed have a very good relationship, she said to her husband, letting her call him Adam like he's a friend or something closer. Tell me, how old are you exactly, Adam? What the hell are you insinuating? Olivia thought, incredulous that Rachel would even say such a thing. Adam flashed his disarming smile and replied, Olivia has a very good relationship with the entire class. That's why she's class president. And while I'm younger than most high school teachers, I actually think that makes me a more effective educator because I know how to speak to teenagers. I still remember what it was like to be one. But my coming here was more of a chance to meet the two of you. I want you guys to know that I'm here for you as well as for my students. Michael's expression eased up, his impression of Adam improving slightly when he saw how much Adam cared about fostering relationships with the families paying thousands for their children's education. Rachel noticed this and grew more irritable. Her plan had been foiled once again. Michael asked Adam more about the curriculum, and they discussed Olivia's upcoming college applications, while Rachel watched on sulking. Olivia sat wearing a polite smile, thrilled by Rachel's frustration and soothed by the sweet puppy snoring in her lap. Feeling encouraged, Olivia reached onto one of the small plates of finger sandwiches and treats the servants had placed beside the tea. She picked up a chocolate chip cookie and broke it in half. Want to share? She asked Michael, holding up half the cookie. Sure, he said, smiling. Rachel saw this and rolled her eyes in disdain. It's good to have confirmation from one of her teachers that my daughter is a beloved, intelligent person, Michael thought, brimming with pride. For the first time in a long time, he felt secure knowing one of his children could responsibly carry on his family name and legacy after he was gone. After Adam announced he should be going and the family saw him off, Michael put an arm around his daughter. He was never this affectionate with me in my past life, she thought, relishing the feeling. He glanced at her. Olivia, come with me to my study. Is everything okay? She asked. Michael nodded. I have a surprise for you. Okay. Olivia stood up and followed Michael from the room. When they passed the upstairs hallway, Monica spotted them disappearing around a corner and angrily pouted, then immediately turned and hurried downstairs until she found Rachel. Mommy, that brat is going to drive me insane! Monica? Rachel whispered, exasperated with her own daughter. Stop right now. I told you you're not going to have to worry about her for much longer. Her luck is about to run out, darling. You said the same thing last time, Monica whined impatiently, and she's still alive and very much kicking. Oh, would you stop complaining? Rachel snapped at her daughter so fiercely Monica jumped. You're always being such a baby and I have to run around cleaning up all your messes. Sometimes I wonder how someone as insolent as you came from me. Monica stared at her mom, stunned. Her lip began to quiver. Shit, Rachel thought. She'd gone too far. Honey, she said, backtracking, her voice softer. I'm sorry, I'm only frustrated. I didn't mean to yell at you. I just need you to be a little more patient, all right? Olivia's only going to be around for a few more days. So the most important thing for you to focus on is your future, not her. Do your schoolwork, see your friends, but stay focused, sweetie, okay? Monica nodded, but was still too taken aback to talk. I love you, Rachel assured her. Why don't you go up to your room and do your homework? The best thing you can do right now is keep excelling in all you do. Okay, Mommy. Monica turned, still shell-shocked. Watching her daughter slink away, Rachel's gaze turned icy. How could my daughter be worse off than Victoria's daughter? She's supposed to be Michael's favorite. Rachel had spent so much time making sure Victoria would never be able to crawl back into Michael's life after he left her for Rachel. But now, suddenly, it seemed like she was here because her stupid little daughter was here, gaining a stronger foothold in the mansion every day. Contemplating this, Rachel suddenly laughed. She was looking forward to seeing Victoria's expression when she heard the news of Olivia's death. It'll be stunning, she giggled. She'll wish she learned her lesson the first time. Rachel fished her cell phone from her pocket and dialed a number. Hello? A man's voice said after a few rings. Xavier, my assignment. I need it done by this Friday. Xavier cleared his throat. I don't know if I'll have the opportunity, ma'am. Find the opportunity, she said sternly. Upstairs in Michael's study, Michael asked Olivia, Are your eyes closed? Yes, she chuckled. Okay, 1, 2, 3, now open them. She already knew from reading his thoughts what he was holding, but Olivia still pretended she was surprised to see a brand new backpack in Michael's hands. Dad, she declared excitedly, you totally didn't have to. I know, he said, but I wanted to. He handed her the olive green Yves Saint Laurent backpack. It was unfair to make you guys switch bags before, and I wanted you to know I care about you, so... You like it? He asked hopefully. Did I do an okay job picking it out? I looked online between meetings, he thought. I love it. Olivia put the bag on and walked like she was a model on a catwalk as a joke. Dad, don't I look cool? Very cool, her father smiled. His gaze was soft, and as he watched his daughter, he thought about seeing her mother in her youth. He had once given Victoria a one-shoulder bag made of crocodile skin. It wasn't expensive, but it was the first time he'd chosen a gift for a woman, and Victoria was completely moved by the gesture. She put it on her back and asked if she looked like a diva. Almost just like Olivia's doing right now, he thought fondly. Like mother, like daughter. He smiled to himself, thinking of how Olivia was just an extension of two people who were deeply in love with each other once upon a time. Then wistful, he thought, Victoria was the best thing that ever happened to me, but I had to go and ruin it. Hearing her dad reminisce like this warmed Olivia's heart. He still loves her, she thought, which means there's a chance for Mom to come back and for them to rekindle things still. Olivia felt a renewed sense of hope and purpose. I'll get rid of Rachel, then bring my parents back together. After thanking her father, Olivia left his study with her new backpack, and Michael picked up his phone to dial an old number. Hello? A soft female voice cooed from the other end. Hello? Michael opened his mouth but didn't make a sound. Then he quickly hung up and put the phone back in his pocket. He looked around and sighed deeply. Forget it, he thought nostalgically. It's all in the past. At school the next day, Olivia sat with her friends eating lunch on the steps leading out to the street so they could watch passerbys as they chatted and laughed. They were only about 10 minutes into their meal when Olivia spotted Pamela approaching and rolled her eyes. We're already forced to practice with her for this stupid hurdle relay coming up, Olivia muttered. Now she wants to eavesdrop on our lunch conversations, too? Olivia didn't normally believe in excluding people, but she could read Pamela's mind and knew her intentions were terrible. Pamela didn't actually want to be Olivia's friend. She wanted to be associated with the money and power and status Olivia's name carried. Got any room for one more? Pamela asked the girls. Olivia sighed. Wow, you actually asked directly this time instead of pretending to tie your shoe right next to us to eavesdrop on our conversation. When Millie and Wendy tried to hide their smiles, Pamela noticed and narrowed her eyes, embarrassed. What? I know, what are you talking about? Oh, come on, you're so obvious, Olivia retorted. You were listening in on our conversation with Adam the other day when Millie and I were in his office. How dare you call me out? Pamela thought, livid. Her face glowed red. Actually, the only reason I was doing that is because it seems kind of odd how close you are with our teacher, so I was making sure nothing weird was going on. When Olivia scrunched her nose, perplexed, Pamela said, Oh, come on. He asked you to go into his office for a chat, and then you're the first student whose house he visits? It's preferential treatment. Or something more. Ew, what are you insinuating? Olivia yelled. Pamela was a girl cut from the same cloth as Rachel. Maybe he only made up the student visits so he'd have an excuse to see you at home. Pamela shrugged, a sly grin on her face. Pamela, that's so low, Wendy cut in, even for you. Olivia could see Pamela's plan in her head clearly. She was going to try to spread rumors about Olivia and sully her reputation, since Olivia had rejected her friendship. How conniving and sadistic, Olivia thought. She's shameless, but she won't get away with it. Olivia sat up straighter. "Aw," she said, lips falling into a fake frown. Is Pamela just sad because she has a crush on Mr. Reed, so she gets jealous when he talks to other students? I didn't say that, Pamela snorted. You didn't have to, Olivia replied. It's obvious. And if you think I have preferential relationship with our teacher, why don't you tell me exactly what you think is going on between him and I? And I'd be happy to bring your parents, my parents, and Adam together for a conference for us all to discuss it. How does that sound? Pamela faltered. She stammered. That's not what I meant. She shook her head. Don't randomly try to guess what I meant. Oh, so it's me who misinterpreted. Okay, what did you mean then? Pamela continued shaking her head, frustrated. Whatever, just never mind. Millie laughed. It's okay, Pamela. You can admit you like Adam. We won't tell anyone. Of course, Millie said this loud enough for everyone in the vicinity to hear. And when Pamela noticed other students murmuring in small groups and then looking at her, she stomped her foot down. Stop, she huffed, before training her sight back on Olivia, Millie, and Wendy. You guys are bitches. I'm not going to let you get away with this. You need to be nice to me, because we're in an effing race together and you wouldn't want me to ruin it, would you? That's the best threat you can come up with, Olivia thought. I thought you wanted to be a state champion this year, right, Millie? Wendy? Pamela sneered. For your college applications? Then you better be nice to me. Olivia just laughed, prompting Pamela to grow so frustrated that she couldn't form any coherent sentences, and she quickly turned and retreated back inside to the girls' bathroom to regroup. As she watched Pamela run away, Olivia had an epiphany. The track meet, she thought. That's the perfect place to take Pamela down. Sure, they'd be surrounded by spectators, but the idea percolating in Olivia's mind would work even with tons of people watching. In fact, it'll be perfect, she smiled. Pamela will suffer publicly, and then I'll kill her. So the last thing she experiences will be the pure shame of a public humiliation, like she made me feel, but worse. Just beyond the school gates, a figure stood watching Olivia, his trench coat shielding him from the brisk air outside. There she is, Xavier thought. All I need is a few moments alone with her. Perhaps after school today, or tomorrow. But your time's coming, Olivia Johnson. He knew the clock was ticking. Now his contract depended on him completing this job. And now that Rachel Johnson had given him strict orders, he would have to strike, sooner rather than later. So he continued watching from a safe distance. I'll get you yet, he snickered, thinking of the big paycheck coming his way. I'll get you, little girl. Olivia stepped into her last class of the day and yawned. I can't believe we have to discuss old literature so close to the end of the day, she thought, watching Adam enter the room and try to quiet his rowdy students. It seemed everyone was as boisterous and itchy to go home as Olivia was. I know, Adam said, Nobody wants to discuss Canterbury Tales and Shakespeare, he said. It's like a foreign language. He shrugged. And yet here we are. So, who wants to read the part of Hamlet? Everybody groaned. Oh, come on, someone. Fine, Alex, you'll read. And who wants to read Ophelia? Ask Pamela to. She'll do anything for you. A voice from the corner rang out, holding back laughter. A ripple of muted giggles sailed through the classroom. Pamela's eyes went wide as she looked around, turning a shade of crimson. Olivia stifled a smile. Apparently, word of Pamela's potential crush on Adam traveled fast. Adam awkwardly cleared his throat a few times. Pamela, how about you read it? My throat hurts, Pamela whispered, a look of anger flashing across her face. How about... Adam scanned the room. Olivia, do you want to read? Sure, she offered happily. Liv read the part of Ophelia for the first act. When the class moved on to the second act and Adam picked other students to read, Olivia couldn't help but smile. Pamela Cox had always been proud and arrogant, and she looked down on others and only saw them as pawns who could do something for her. Now, she was beginning to know what it felt like to feel humiliated and less than in front of her peers. At the end of the class, the bell rang and Adam closed his book. And that's all she wrote, he said. Everybody answer the reading comprehension questions tonight for homework. Any questions? Yeah, one of the smartass boys in the back of the class asked. Do you have a girlfriend or are you single? Someone wants to know. The boy snickered. Not that it is any of your business, but I am betrothed, yes, Adam said. A cluster of students looked at Pamela in unison and shot her pitying looks as if to say, Sorry, looks like you lost your chance. Too bad, one of the guys whispered to Pamela, and they all busted up into laughter again. Pamela's face darkened again when she saw this. Why was everyone acting like she was being rejected by someone? She didn't actually like Adam. She wanted to yell at everyone to leave her alone, but she didn't want to be sent to detention for acting out. Standing in front of the blackboard, Olivia could not help but burst out laughing. She was the only one who could see how angry Pamela was inside. Hearing Liv's laughter, Pamela grew even angrier. Is she openly mocking me right now? Pamela thought, incredulous. This rich and powerful scheming bitch. She only just came into money. What the hell is she so happy about? Unable to contain her anger anymore, Pamela was the first to grab her bag and rush from class. She couldn't stand everyone looking and laughing at her. Olivia smiled. She accompanied her friends out the school gate. You guys want to hang after practice tonight? Millie asked. I was thinking of trying this new pho restaurant. Olivia considered the offer. I've got too much homework, she said, and I gotta get home to Polly to train her. In the distance, Xavier watched Olivia, disappointed this wouldn't prove to be his moment to strike. At home, Polly wagged her tail in excitement when Olivia got home from practice, and she ran up to her, giving her a kiss. She's been very good all day, one of the maids, Dana, said. Dana was Morris Brad's sister, so Olivia trusted her to watch Polly more than anyone else when she was at school. And she seems to already have a bond with you. She ran up to you the second you got in, and she hasn't done that with anyone else. Olivia smiled. It's meant to be then, she thought, tickling Polly's chin. You're a good girl, aren't you? Polly licked Olivia's hands and then crawled into her lap. Their sweet moment was interrupted when Olivia heard the front door slam on the other side of the house. Olivia stood up, concerned, and brought Polly to see what the commotion was about. Olivia stood on the staircase landing just above the entryway and could see her father standing on the checkered marble floor of the foyer below. He was pacing and visibly furious. Had he encountered problems at work? A business deal gone sour? A few feet from him, Monica entered from the hall that led to the grand library, where she was doing homework with Rachel's help. Olivia could see that Monica wanted to whine about something, but her mother motioned for her not to speak. Is everything all right, Dad? Olivia asked. What? He said, looking up. He seemed caught off guard, like he hadn't seen her standing above him on the landing, and he quickly smiled, as if forcing all signs of anger from his face. Don't let her know, Michael thought. Yes, he said pleasantly. Yes, just some clients at work, nothing to worry about, just the stress of a long work week. She can't know right now, Michael thought. Not yet, possibly not ever. I have to make a few calls, he said abruptly, then turned to Rachel. Have Richard bring my dinner to my study this evening. I'll see you all later. He gave everyone a curt smile, then disappeared down the hallway. What's he hiding from me? Olivia wondered. I have to find out. Unfortunately, Olivia wasn't able to get her father alone to question him about what had made him so angry, nor to try and read his thoughts on the subject. She fell asleep before he emerged from his study that evening, and by the time she woke the following day, Michael had apparently left on a business trip. He didn't mention any business trips, Monica said suspiciously. Something came up, Morris Brett said as he drove the girls to school. An emergency, apparently, so he took the company jet and flew out today. Olivia knew from reading his thoughts that this was all Morris knew. He didn't even know where Michael's jet whisked him away to. Olivia sighed, assuring herself she'd uncover more when her father returned. In the meantime, she thought, I have other things to focus on, like Pamela. Olivia turned her attention to her track meet, which was starting later that day once school got out. She smiled as an anticipatory glee bubbled up inside of her. The sun was bright and the breeze was gentle when the track meet started. Spectators filled the stands and Olivia looked up and saw Millie and Wendy's moms cheering. She knew her mom would be here if she didn't have to work. Despite receiving a hefty sum of money from Michael that helped pay off her debts in exchange for letting Olivia live with him, Victoria still had to finish out a job she was contracted to do until the end of the year. It's a matter of principle, she told Olivia, when she explained why she wasn't leaving her job right away. Besides, my employer has been kind to me when I worked for him as an assistant all these years, and he's retiring at the end of the year, so I promised I would stay with him till then. No use having to train a new assistant just to have her leave when he retires. My mom is so thoughtful, Olivia thought, sighing. Even if I wish selfishly that she was here instead. Everyone ready? Adam shouted at the Marshall High team members, all decked out in their red and white running outfits. Ready as ever, everyone chanted in unison. Adam smiled, impressed. Not bad. The head coach stepped and gave the team a rousing speech about giving it their all and putting personal performance ahead of rankings. Even if you get last place, just remember the most important thing in life is trying and completing the race. Then he looked around and added, but try to get first place. Everyone laughed and then huddled together for their team chant. Liv, help me with my number. Wendy turned around and gestured for Olivia to help her fix her number cloth on her shirt with a pin. Millie helped Liv pin the number on properly, and then the girls helped Millie with hers. Olivia looked up, feeling eyes on her, and saw Pamela glaring at them. Those three are like fully obsessed with each other, Pamela was telling herself. Like, attached at the hips much? Probably because they can't get any boyfriends, so they have to stick together. I'm so much better, and prettier, and cooler than them, she assured herself. I don't even need to bother with them. Don't you worry, Olivia thought. You won't be bothering with anyone soon. Olivia sat patiently as the events began. The men's 100-meter sprint went very smoothly. A junior at Marshall High won first place, and a senior came in second. Yes! Adam clapped his hands, and the students behind him in the bleachers cheered. More wins followed, and the students who took home medals were warmly applauded by the crowd. As the afternoon wore on, the unseasonably warm weather seemed to take its toll on some runners. A few were pouring sweat, and some athletes were much slower than usual. Could be first meet jitters, Adam shrugged. It's all good, shrug it off, you'll do better next time. He consoled the runners who didn't place in the top 3 during their events. Finally, a deep male voice came over the PA system and announced, Next up is the women's 4x100 hurdle relay race. Athletes, please come to the starting line. Olivia looked at the other girls in her relay race, her eyes landing on Pamela. Let's go, Millie pumped herself up, stretching her wrists and ankles. She nervously took a few deep breaths. Just try your best, Wendy patted Millie's shoulder and said. I will, Millie nodded. Olivia could see she was anxious. "Come on, guys. We've trained for this," Olivia said to her team. "We got this." Then she looked Pamela dead in the eye. "You're gonna shine today." Pamela squinted her eyes like she was confused. What's that supposed to mean? She thought. Olivia's never been nice to me. "Okay, so the order is me, Angie, Pamela, Liv," Millie said. "Do we need to practice our handoffs again?" "Actually," Olivia said, "I was thinking, since I have a bit of a bad knee this week, and I saw how good Pamela's times had been the last few weeks, what if Pamela anchors the race this time?" Pamela regarded Olivia with suspicion, her face full of distrust. Even Millie looked at Olivia confused. "Do you mean that?" she wondered. "I really want to win," Olivia said. "And all the differences aside, I think this is our best chance. If it doesn't work, we can go back to the way it was the next track meet. But what do you guys think? Shouldn't we at least try once?" Millie shrugged. "That works for me. Might not be a bad idea to try, I guess." The senior on their relay, Angie, also shrugged. "It'd be nice to medal before I graduate," she laughed. This left Pamela to be the buzzkill if she said no now. She exhaled. "Fine, yeah, we can try it." Olivia smiled. "Excellent. You've just sealed your fate," Olivia thought. A starting gunshot marked the beginning of the race, and Millie was first off the starting line, racing around the track at a fast clip. No runners from the other school could catch her. She handed off the baton to Angie as students and parents in Marshall High section of the bleachers went wild. Angie had trouble maintaining the same pace Millie had set, but she still kept their lead, and it was soon up to Olivia to keep them in first place. Olivia was confident in her running, and though Beacon High had a runner who was the fastest in the state, Olivia was able to keep their lead too. Barely, but still. When she handed the baton off to Pamela, Olivia exhaled. She had done her job not giving up their lead. Now it was up to Pamela. Too bad she won't finish the race, Olivia thought, smiling to herself as she hustled around to the finish line so she could put her plan into action. Pamela Cox was athletic and had trained for this diligently, so she figured running a 100-meter sprint with hurdles would not be a big deal. But when Olivia asked her to run anchor in the relay race, she suddenly felt added pressure. So after the baton handoff, she was already in her head. "Oh no," she thought, sensing the racers from Beacon High and Edison College Preparatory School gaining on her as she rounded the turn. Meanwhile, by the finish line, Olivia began concentrating on the final hurdle on the track, which stood about 20 feet from the finish line. She thought about how much Pamela had hurt her in her past life, all the unforgivable things she'd done, and the look on Pamela's face when she ran over Olivia back then. "I trusted you once," Olivia thought. "Never again." She could feel the tingling rage simmering to the surface inside of her, and she smiled. "Now you get to see how it feels." As Pamela neared the final hurdle and prepared to jump over it on her sprint to the finish line, Olivia focused even more intently on the hurdle itself. With her mind, she loosened the screws holding it together. But she was so angry her blood nearly boiling as she thought of all the pain and humiliations and deep, deep wounds she suffered at the hands of Pamela, that her powers seemed magnified. As she loosened the screws on Pamela's hurdle, the screws of the hurdles on either side of Pamela's lane began to loosen too. And just as Pamela raised her forward leg to jump over her hurdle, another student bumped into Olivia, shoving her forward as he cheered. "Let's go, Marshall, let's go!" the boy chanted boisterously, unaware he'd even pushed Olivia. He was so taken by the spirit of the meet he wasn't paying attention. Olivia tried to readjust, but for a split second her concentration had been broken, and when she was shoved forward, she looked slightly to the left. In doing so, she must have focused her powers on the hurdle next to Pamela's, because as Pamela raced neck and neck with a runner from Beacon High, they reached their hurdles at the same time. But it was the Beacon High racer's hurdle that came apart as she launched herself over it. "No!" Olivia froze, knowing what was about to happen. Oh, God, no! As the Beacon High sophomore's front leg floated over her hurdle, she suddenly lurched forward as the lightweight aluminum bar of the hurdle flew upwards, tripping her up, so she fell forward and crashed down onto one of the hurdle's sturdy metal legs. As she did, a tiny, very sharp piece of metal that once connected the aluminum bar to the legs of the hurdle shot up and sliced through the runner's thigh, pricking her with a surgeon's expert precision directly along her femoral artery. Nobody knew what happened at first. At first, they just winced, seeing a fellow athlete fall over her hurdles. But because the Beacon High sophomore's hurdle flew into Pamela's, she too stumbled and went down. But when the Beacon High athlete tried to stand, Millie yelled, "Oh my God! Oh my God, she's bleeding. It's bad." Blood splurted out everywhere, onto the hurdles, onto the track, even onto Pamela, who was nursing her ankle a few feet from the injured girl. The girl didn't even have time to react. She stared in shock, then fainted when she saw how much blood she was losing. Coaches and medical staff from the first aid tent rushed over to her to stop the bleeding, but she turned blue and grew cold as everyone watched. Some kids threw up. Others began to sob uncontrollably. Others just went silent. Everyone stood stunned, except for Pamela, who was keeled over, milking her own injury, unaware of what was happening over her shoulder because she was convinced all the commotion was for her poor ankle. "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." Wendy was freaking out. "That is a lot of blood." Olivia couldn't move a muscle. "No," she thought, watching blood pulse from the Beacon High girl's legs like a crimson fountain. "No, this can't be happening." Olivia went white as a sheet. "There still hasn't been any word as to whether the girl from Beacon High could be saved," Millie said, shaking her head the next day in school. "Apparently, she's still at the hospital, and her family's not giving anyone an update. But the fact that our school's, even asking us to come to class today is insane." "She goes to a different school," Wendy shrugged, "and they brought in a grief counselor if we want to talk to them. They know we have to study for midterms, though, so they can't just cancel school. What about college, you know?" "I know, it's just sad," Millie replied, before turning her attention to Liv. "Olivia. Hey, Olivia, you've been silent all morning. You okay?" Olivia barely moved. She was staring straight ahead, still in disbelief. What had happened yesterday wasn't supposed to happen. Ever. "I don't know my own capabilities," she thought, closing her eyes. "I can't ever let something like that happen again. Hurting those who have wronged me is one thing. Pamela deserves it. She killed me in my last life. Or at least she thought she did. And Rachel is trying to kill me now, even as we speak. But an innocent bystander like that poor girl." Olivia had found out the girl's name was Brittany. What happened to Brittany, what I did to Brittany, can never, ever, ever happen again. Olivia didn't sleep at all last night because she was wrestling with what to do. Maybe I just shouldn't use my powers ever again. But, she stopped herself, what if the sole purpose of my coming back here was to use them to get revenge and to right the wrongs of my past? She sighed, looking at her friends before thinking, I just can't use my powers around anyone who's innocent anymore. When I go after someone like Pamela or Rachel, I have to get them alone. Or I have to be very, very careful. I have to know exactly what I'm doing. She swallowed hard, thinking back to the chaos of yesterday. It will make getting revenge on Pamela and Rachel and the others much harder, but it's what I have to do. To ensure what happened yesterday never happens again. I couldn't live with myself if it did. Olivia! Wendy shouted, finally breaking Liv's concentration. What? Sorry, she muttered, shaking herself from her daze. Hey, are you okay? Olivia sighed. I will be. I hope, she added in her mind. Wendy was just saying, look at Pamela, Billy whispered, discreetly pointing over at Pamela, who sat with a cast on her left leg. Pamela looked distant and was frowning. She's acting like she was the victim in all this, and not Brittany Jeffries from Beacon, Wendy added. I overheard her telling someone that she was involved in the accident that took the other girl's life, and it could have been her. Wendy rolled her eyes. Leave it up to Pamela, of all people, to use a sprained ankle as an excuse to get sympathy points from another girl possibly dying. Like, how are you making this about you, Pam? So attention-seeking. I bet she doesn't even have a sprained ankle, She just wants sympathy, Millie replied. Olivia was still upset over what happened with Brittany, but seeing Pamela was enough to redirect her attention. It's true, Olivia said, listening in on Pamela's thoughts. How come nobody in here is asking me how I feel? Pamela was thinking. Don't they know I was right next to that girl when everything happened? I even got hurt. All they're talking about is her. But how about the way it affected me? Seeing something like that up close is... Oh my God, it's so traumatizing. If I weren't me, I'd be asking me all about it. Olivia rolled her eyes. She's pathetic, she mumbled. Pamela had always trampled over other people's accomplishments and hard work to better her reputation. But it turned out she also piggybacked on people's hardships and devastations too, if it would bring her a little more focus. Anything to get your name in people's mouths, Olivia thought. I can't believe I screwed up killing her. She inhaled deeply and then exhaled. It's okay, I'll just plan better next time. I just feel so bad, Olivia heard Pamela telling another student who was stupid enough to fall for her act and ask what had happened. If I hadn't fallen, we would have won too. So I basically wasn't involved in a horrific accident, and I lost for our team. Pamela eked out a few fake tears. I am really sorry. Pamela rubbed her eyes so they were red as she repeatedly apologized. Seeing Pamela like this, no one could say anything. Instead, a few kids gathered around her and comforted her. Pamela, you don't need to apologize, one gently reassured her. People forgive you. The attention made Pamela feel warm and made her come alive, but she couldn't smile. I know, but on top of everything else, I just can't believe I lost the race for us. We could have won. Olivia couldn't stand this any longer. Nobody finished the race, she interrupted. So nobody won and nobody lost, because someone was very injured. Nobody's even thinking about who won except you. Olivia spoke in a way that seared right into Pamela, and Pamela looked embarrassed. I'm not saying I'm worried about who won and who didn't, Pamela backtracked, not wanting to be thought of as superficial. I'm just saying I felt bad that I couldn't win for us on top of everything else. Yeah, 'cause you're such a victim. Olivia rolled her eyes. And don't worry, you had already fallen behind Edison Prep before the last hurdle. So you wouldn't have lost it for us when you fell. You lost it way before that. Pamela's eyes widened in shock. She couldn't believe Olivia had the audacity to say this to her. And when I'm weak and injured, of all times? She shook her head, seething. I'm going to turn everyone against her and make her wish she never messed with me. Olivia could feel herself trembling with anger, just thinking how she could end with what she started and kill Pamela right now, but she refrained. No, she stopped herself. New rules, get her alone, wait till she's vulnerable, then hurt her in every possible way you can think of. Pamela got up and hobbled on her crutches to their teacher, Mrs. Anderson's desk, to ask if she could go to the bathroom. Is it all right if I get some fresh air too? She asked. I'm feeling sort of weak and dizzy because of everything I've gone through in the last 24 hours. Mrs. Anderson nodded sympathetically. Of course, dear, she said, concerned. Did you need any help? No, I couldn't possibly burden you, Pamela said. Wow, she's really going for an Academy Award with this, Olivia thought. Pamela turned, walking towards the door, and then in front of the classroom she pretended to faint. Pamela had planned on falling into another student named Annie who was standing by the whiteboard, writing out the exam schedule. But hearing Pamela's thoughts before she fainted, Olivia had gotten out of her chair and had pretended to make her way to the front of the class to sharpen one of her pencils. And when she saw Pamela about to make her move, Olivia herself pretended to trip and bump into Annie, causing Annie to step back, so that when Pamela closed her eyes and fell sideways, Annie no longer patted her fall. Pamela didn't realize anything was amiss until suddenly she sensed Annie had moved, and then, seconds later, she made impact with the ground with a loud thud. Everyone's eyes shot to Pamela. She winced but couldn't open her eyes without revealing she'd faked the faint. Pamela, oh my goodness, are you okay? Mrs. Anderson called out as she hurried over. A few kids in the front row immediately ran to Pamela's aid, turning her over to see if she was hurt. I think she fainted, Annie said. Pamela pretended to be unconscious, but inside she cursed. Ouch, my shoulder, she thought, and my ankle hurts even more now. Serves you right, Olivia thought. Pamela waited a few more seconds, wanting the feint to seem believable and relishing the attention she was receiving, even if she had to get slightly injured for it. Maybe now they'll all remember who I am, she thought, and I can turn this into an opportunity to make a name for myself. She's shameless, Olivia thought. Pamela was about to open her eyes slowly and pretend to come to again when a male voice said, "She's out cold, but I was a lifeguard at my country club's pool, so I know CPR." Before Pamela could react or even process what was happening, she felt someone's lips on her, and then heard giggles from different sections of the classroom. What the hell? She thought, suddenly opening her eyes. Hovering over Pamela was a kid named Phil Eggers. Oh, hell no, Phil Eggers did not just put his lips on mine and try to give me CPR. "I'm awake!" she yelled, shoving him away from her. Phil Eggers was decidedly average, Pamela thought. He wasn't devastatingly ugly, but he certainly couldn't be called handsome. To be more precise, he couldn't even be considered pleasing to the eye. He was 5 feet 2 inches tall, and his pair of small brown eyes were his main landmark, mostly because they were slightly too close together. But that wasn't the most vile part about Phil to Pamela. No, the worst part was he only went here because his parents worked as administrative assistants in the principal's office, so he got not 1, but 2 combined discounts to attend Marshall High. He's poor, Pamela thought dismissively, a shiver going down her spine as she looked at him. Pamela wasn't one of the most privileged kids here to begin with. The last thing she needed was being associated with people even less well-off than she was. That's not how you climb upwards in society, she privately fumed. She turned away and shuddered. Then she noticed the other students laughing. "Guys, this isn't funny. Let's all please remember to be respectful, okay?" Mrs. Anderson said. "It's just CPR." It was no use. High school kids were vicious, Pamela thought. "That's right," Olivia mused, listening in. "And you used that knowledge to wreak havoc on my life the last time around. Doesn't feel good, does it?" As Olivia celebrated this tiny victory, her phone buzzed. She went back to her seat and pulled it from her pocket. She discreetly checked her text messages while her teacher was preoccupied with Pamela. "Hi, honey," Victoria had written. "I'm so sorry I missed your track meet yesterday, but I should be off work a bit early tonight. If you wanted to come by after your practice, it'd be so good to see you." Olivia smiled. "I miss you so much," she thought, reading her mom's words. She couldn't wait to hug her and tell her everything that had been going on. Not about her powers, maybe. She didn't know if her mom was ready for that, or if her mom would approve of her using them to get her enemies back. But about her friends and her popularity and her puppy and how she'd won class president. "Mom's going to be so proud of me," she beamed. She replied to her mom and made plans to come over later to eat dinner together. And then she excitedly texted Morris to say she wouldn't need a ride home today. Then she turned her attention back to Pamela, breaking into a gleeful smile. Rachel was sitting in the mansion's parlor enjoying a glass of iced tea when Richard Coors knocked on the door. "Yes?" she said. "Ma'am, you wanted me to tell you when our drivers called in to change their routes or their schedules?" "Yes," she said again. "Well, Morris has told me he will be bringing Mr. Johnson home from work, but he won't be returning to the city to pick up Miss Johnson from track practice." "Oh? And how will she be getting home instead, did he say?" "He said Miss Olivia will be dining with her mother tonight, and will arrange for her own ride home after that. She told Morris he can have the rest of the night off. Is that all right?" Rachel grinned. "Of course. Tell Morris he deserves the night off after he brings Michael home. Lord knows he does enough for us." "I will, ma'am, thank you." Richard bowed and then left Rachel to finish her tea. She inhaled, feeling like a 1,000-pound weight was about to be lifted from her chest. Then she picked up her cell phone and dialed Xavier. It's time. Tonight, she'll be without her driver. Alone.